And also, again, why use AI to create your pictures for you? Because it doesn't know how to do you. I've told you, we called out this dude and you were on the podcast. It doesn't do you, dude. When are you going to get it? It doesn't look like you at all.
What are you talking about?
Sloppy.
Are you talking about the thumbnail that I did or what Jukka did?
No, the blog post feature that you did is a slop because it doesn't look like you. And yeah, I'm not having it. It's just nope.
Okay. I did another post this week, so I'll go back to the real photos and staging everything.
I tried my best to get it to remove the blue kind of thing that exactly that in your glasses. It just doesn't come. It does something wrong with your eyes. It can't do it. I've tried enough to know that it's not going to be able to do it. So just stop it already.
Welcome, everyone, to the PowerPlatform Boost podcast, your weekly source of news and updates from the world of the Power Platform and the Microsoft community with your host, Nick Dolman and Ulrikke.
We're recording now.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We are a day or two late, but that's okay. It's summertime, so no one's in a rush for this, I don't think. The inbox isn't totally flooded with people demanding where this week's episode is yet.
Not yet, which is a good and sad at the same time. I kind of wish that people kind of noticed that we're 2 days late, but then also it's good to say that people are not dependent on us and that they are maybe checked out summer holiday-ish, especially the people on our side of the world.
Yeah, let's blame it on that.
Yeah, it's summertime. It's okay. But so your car broke down.
Yes, I was camping. I was traveling around. I was kind of on a journey, camping with some friends, which is really good. It was, it's good to kind of check in with your friends that you've had since I was like a teenager, basically. And then it was all good. And then I went to visit my sister, and then, in my hometown, my truck broke down. It was just weird. Turned the key, nothing would start, just not even a turnover, just so random and weird. So thankfully, the garage in town was able to get me fixed up on the road about a day later, though. But I had a really good visit with my family, which was probably good as well. And so these are the types of things that happen. But I could have easily been broken down in the middle of backcountry Ontario. I could have been broken down in my friend's property, which is way in the bush, or even in the middle of the highway somewhere. So all things considered, like this is what life is all about. It's all an adventure, and you never really know what's going to happen, and you just got to roll with it sometimes. And that's partially the reason why we're a day or two late on this, because we made a few attempts to record this podcast early. Internet, it was just so weird. Internet, my sister's place, of course, they have, I would say, regular internet that probably everybody else has. But of course, you and I, we have more high-speed internet. And
yeah, we kind of realized that we're special people with special internet needs.
And then I tried to do it at my friend's place who I was visiting. And her internet, at first, when I did the speed test, they're like, okay, awesome, we're good to go. And it was so glitchy. It kept dropping every minute. It was like, what's going on? Like, even I was doing Duolingo, and it was like, timing out on me. It's like, wow, what's going on?
So we do require, and then of course my kids are now, one kid is on a constant, like from morning till night group FaceTime call with his friends, and the other one's playing Minecraft. So there's a bit of demand on my Wi-Fi as well, even though it should be okay. So, but we'll try to push through and get through the news for you guys so that you are up to date when you get back to work. Because I think, this episode, we're going to try to get it out the door as quickly as possible, but it's, of course, right in time for you to get back to work. So this is good. You'll get a bit of catch up with what's happened while you've been away if you were on holiday.
Yeah. And does it look like, has there been any news? Anything been happening in the world of the Power Platform and others?
There has been a few updates. I must say, we have a list of people that have been a bit creative over the holidays as well, which is always good to see. People get a bit of time on their hands and a bit of downtime in the evenings, and then they crack out a few games or a bit of creative work. So that's always cool. And also we have a few people that kind of show up on this podcast week after week. Do you want to start off with the first one on our list?
Yeah, for sure. So our good friend Steve Mordue, and this is actually one of the benefit of being late with the podcast, because this article came out this morning, and it's kind of that thought-provoking question called, the title is, why not code your own CRM? And now we've been talking, ranting, going down a rabbit hole on the SaaS apocalypse. And then there was an interesting article that Steve referred to that we may have mentioned last time, but I'm maybe not, but how a company had come out and they said they replaced their 6-figure Salesforce subscription per month by basically vibe coding a replacement in-house that was way better. So of course that kind of begs.
Is it vibe coding though? It's agentic AI. Yeah. Right. So let's try to, because there's a bit of difference between a developer using AI to create something and vibe coding something. So I hope that they didn't vibe code a new CRM system.
Yeah. And maybe I think because this is an important point you bring up, and thank you for bringing that up, because we do see a lot of people vibe code. And then of course there's the folks that kind of look down, well, you just vibe coded that. Well, yes, there's two things where you're just blatant, like prompting an agent, go build me an app or build me a game or build me something, blah, blah, blah. And you just, there you go. And you sit back, and while it generates, it will generate. And of course, it's going to generate software for you. But, all the questions that come up, is it secure? Is it efficient? Is it performant? What's the back end? What's all of these things? And if you can't answer those questions, well, now you have a vibe coded app, essentially. But with agentic coding, which is something that I'm a big fan of, you're almost working with the AI tooling as what I like as a peer programmer, or maybe you're telling a junior programmer. You're planning things out. Like I like in Claude Code, there's the plan mode where you do /plan. Here's the software I want to build, and it breaks out the plan. And even if you're using the Dataverse skills, okay, we're going to create these Dataverse tables. We're going to create these views, these forms, and even get to the point where here's the automation we want to do and break it all out. And then you go through, and a lot of that tedious stuff of creating tables and creating forms is taken care of. But you, as a solution architect, as the human in the loop, you're controlling the whole thing, and you're understanding how the code works. You're evaluating the security, of course, using AI as a tool the whole time to be more efficient. And this is how I've been working, and it's been great. But you can pull out any code that I've worked with AI in the last few months, and I can tell you exactly what it's doing and why we did it that way. I also do a trick or something. I've instructed my agents, if I'm building code, to maintain a change log of what was changed and what the decision was. And I found even in that change log, if I have to go back a few weeks and refactor something, we still have a log of what was done in an MD file. And that's really good too. So zeroing back on this article, that, we're assuming that this company did, and this is what part of Steve's point was in his article as well. This company could get away with it because if they're already spending 6 figures per month on a Salesforce subscription, they have the resources on their internal IT staff to actually go through and agentically build a CRM system in terms of collecting the requirements from the end users, making sure it's secure, making sure it's properly deployed. So his point being is, why doesn't everybody just vibe code or agentically build their own CRM system? Well, you might not have the resources to do that. If you're a very small business with only a handful of people, you can't afford to let somebody sit down and try to build out a piece of software. Obviously there's some apps you could build and things that you can help your own business, but for something like a CRM system or an accounting system, there's a lot of moving pieces there. So you're at this point, his point was being, you're almost better off to actually buy an actual package system off the shelf that has been configured and designed and engineered specifically for your purposes. So I think there's a tipping off point there of what your investment is and sort of what you're going to get out of it. So is the ROI there for you to even agentically build something when something already exists off the shelf? And we see that a lot where there's two sides to it, right? There's the, why am I paying for this subscription when I can build something myself? Great. Or why are you spending all this time building something when something already exists? And I think that's really the core point of what Steve is trying to put there. So it's an interesting ongoing discussion. Like I'm a big fan of course, the great thing about the Power Platform is it is a platform to build unique line of business software. But sometimes there's standards and things like that. I use QuickBooks. I would not vibe code my own accounting system because there's so many implications in there around like tax and how to do proper recounting and things like that. I don't have that expertise. Yes, I could get an agent to build me something, but it's not going to be good enough. So that's why I rely on a company like Intuit to build my accounting software for me.
Yeah. And it's like you said, you need the expertise, the industry expertise. We also need to know the, development you need to have the proper testing and have all those scaffoldings in place to know what you're doing for it to make sense. And because what you're doing is you're owning the liability, right? You buy a SaaS off the shelf, then you outsource the development, you outsource the security, you outsource the maintainability, all the things you outsource to someone else, meaning they're liable if something happens. If you've covered it yourself, something happens. It's also been something I've been seeing quite a lot recently in social media as well. Who's accountable? When someone vibe coded something or agentically created something with agents, if something goes wrong, well, then it's on you, the developer. You didn't check the code. Well, then is that really, it's been mentioned for a lot of things. When AI make a mistake, who's responsible? Is it the person that created the model? Is it the creation of the agent? Is it the skill? Is it the plugin? Is it the instruction? Is it the prompt? Is it where's the mistake? Who owns the mistake and who's accountable? You vibe code a whole CRM system, something's off, who's responsible, right? So it's a multifaceted question with a multifaceted answer, I think. But yeah, it's thought-provoking by Steve, as usual, which is good. Makes us think.
Yep, absolutely.
Something else I wanted to mention was the new, and this is also a bit new, it hasn't been fully announced yet, so it's maybe a little sneak peek. We talked about it last time as well, but the native mobile app, we saw a post from Jan Chlebek this last week, I think, on LinkedIn, where he discovered where it shows up. So it shows up in the new, not the new, sorry, let me bring the post up. So it shows up in the PowerPlatform skills from the GitHub repository with the MCP server. It shows up as a dedicated Power Apps mobile preview app in the Apple App Store for testing native applications. It shows up in the, when you have a solution in Power Platform, you can add existing types. If you want to see something before it's released, look in the list of the things you can add to a solution. There's a lot of juicy things in there you can see that kind of is coming, that you can suddenly add an existing native mobile app to your solution. And also NPM packages on Microsoft-Power Apps native hosts. So there's a few signs of and also what this is it's a new line of apps in Power Apps, a new type of Power App, if you like, that is designed for iPads and iPhones and Androids. It does compile. So I saw there was an App Store compiler, an NPM package, and a GitHub template skills kind of list that links to that from his post. And then this is a new code first mobile application thing, which allows you to then have a mobile app on the phone, not through that Power Apps starter container app, but as a standalone thing that can then interact with camera and We talked about this last time. So this is a link for you to go in and check out if you want to learn more about that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes.
And speaking of, it was kind of the worst kept secret, I think, in terms of these new things, just because there's so many hints there. I found something which I found kind of blew me away. It's a new Chrome extension, and I did see a post as well that it is available now on Edge as well, but it's called Data Pilot. And you kind of look at it, okay, Data Pilot, what is that? And it says your cockpit for Dataverse. And I don't know if you had a chance to look at this thing, but it is amazing. It's got 40 plus tools built into a browser, and you can do all sorts of things like, it's got like a data explorer. You can actually helps you document your Power Apps. You can add, there's a prompt library in there. There's dev tool belts, so you can, generate fetch XML, JSON, XML. It's got a lot of the tools that we've had, not all of them, but a certain subset of these tools that we've had in the XRM toolbox, but built within a browser extension. And I'm not sure how this guy found the time to build all of this stuff. And I reached out to him because I think I saw it and I commented on it. He reached out to me and we kind of chatted a little bit about it. And it's just freaking amazing, this thing. So definitely check it out if you're building anything in Dataverse or model-driven apps. I think it has some tools for Flow. It has some tools for different, there's 40 some different tools here. I'm just looking through it now, and different tools depending on whether you're even as a maker as an end user. It provides some extra tools for that as too, like things like record counters and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, check that out. And it is something that's pretty neat.
Also, I saw something from a guy called Payam. Oh, this is hard. Payam Yazdkhasti, would you say?
Yeah,
Yazdkhasti?
yeah.
Yazdkhasti?
Yeah,
Sorry. But yeah.
But it was,
but it's cool. I mean, it's the blog post is called "Can Cloud Code Become Your Power Pages Development Assistant?" And it's trying to compare, the inline with the studio editor, you get a side Copilot to create Power Pages sites with. I don't think and it's comparing that to Cloud Code with the skill to create Power Pages sites. It's like trying to compare, I don't know what.
A cigarette
bicycle
lighter
to an airplane?
Yeah, like a cigarette lighter to a flamethrower, basically.
Yeah, something like that.
Pick your analogy,
So he quickly comes to the realization that those are two completely different things. And the side panel Copilot thing is kind of useless and actually doesn't know. I think the biggest issue that he found, which is also the saddest part, is that it doesn't know more about Power Pages than Cloud Code does. Cloud Code actually knows more about Power Pages than the sidecar thing does.
Yeah.
Or the side panel thing. And also it doesn't understand your project like Cloud Code in a project would. So it doesn't remember you from session to session, doesn't remember the project, what you're doing, doesn't read through the code as Cloud Code will do. So he's comparing it to creating a site, downloading it, and then using Cloud Code to work on the project, and also having a Cloud MD file, of course, with the project. And he's said, it deploys that with the portal so that actually if someone else downloads that code sometime, the agent will automatically find the cloud.md file and understand the project, what was done, a bit of documentation, and how it's gone about doing its work, which is great. And then it's a bit sad that the built-in thing isn't as good. But that's just the nature of this at this stage. I think it goes for a lot of things.
Yeah, the old side, the side panel Cloud Code stuff, Copilot was, you realize that's like a year and a half old. So that's like ancient technology in the AI world for starters.
Yeah, but couldn't you kind of expect Microsoft to keep up with these things? I mean, if they expect us to use their tooling, they should keep it up to date, maybe.
Well, but the thing is, the whole idea of the side panels and the Copilot stuff was sort of the initial first wave, I think, on this. But then as they developed, they realized more and more people are working within the context of whether it's a Visual Studio Code or some of these other tools, or even GitHub Copilot Desktop, that this is where the work is going to get done. So these tools, like, to me, if they shut them off, like the side panels, I wouldn't miss them at all. I wouldn't even notice that they were gone, to be honest. So I don't know if it was really the right way to keep on top of it. At the time when they started, to be fair, I mean, it was also new. This was sort of the way that potentially, within the maker, we can get it to do this and this. I don't know. Like, even look at generative pages. I mean, it just works better to work through some of these additional tools than to actually go into the maker portal itself to do this. Anyways, that's just sort of my opinion on this, really.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like, well, if you're not going to maintain anything, the problem I'm having with this is that if someone actually finds their way to that surface and tries to use that, it will put them off the whole. They don't understand. If they're at that level, they don't understand the difference between the side panel and Power Pages as a product. The whole experience is shit. Yep. And then that's going to apply to Power Pages. And Power Pages is awesome. So that's what I don't like. It's like, if it's not good enough, get rid of it or make it better. At least keep up with what's out there. And if you have a plugin that understands Power Pages, at least make sure that the thing that supports that side panel has those capabilities, that it understands the context that it's in. It's a bit embarrassing. So that's why I kind of get thrown a bit.
Even if it's not going to be the way, have a little thing, because they have this for the Classic Explorer, right? Like, there's a newer and better way to do this, right? So just...
Yeah, but they're not going to... But yeah. All right. But speaking of skills, I mean, someone finally created a skills library. Thank you. So I saw a post from, I think it was Herman Gurr, that kind of made me aware of the skills gallery for AI agents, which, yes, finally, guys. I think it's PowerCat team that is behind it, maybe?
Yes.
I think that's 100%. Probably right.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is huge. So, and it's not like you're playing around the agents and skills, and especially for PowerPlatform and Microsoft in general, this is now finally the place to go to find all of them. And it's great work.
Yeah, there's so many skills in here too, like, like simple, like campaign deck builder, blog content auditor, classic text adventure, which is, so if you could play, Colossal Cave Adventure, like within Copilot Studio. So, I mean, obviously some folks are, having fun with this, but there's other things that you can go through and add. So I'm going through, the list is getting huge all of a sudden. So it's a great, like an exam prep thing, like, wow. So yeah, definitely check that out. Great resource. And I think they're sort of, like they said, they're sort of inspired by PCF Gallery, which of course we know Guido put together years ago. And this is what community is all about, building and sharing and getting inspired by these other things that other folks are doing. And then also kind of answering the question, like when people say, well, what can I use this for? Well, here's a whole bunch of ideas that you can use this for. I'm definitely, for sure, there's a bunch of things you can pick off this list of skills that you'd find useful. So yeah, very good.
I'm
PowerCat
still
team is
stunned
amazing.
with people asking that question. It's like, yeah, what can I use this for? It's like, don't you have a bazillion projects in your head that you can try? Creativity. Curious. So, and also news in terms of using agents, there's a new Flow Agent MCP server for Power Automate. So what we've had and played around with in terms of Canvas apps and model room apps now is fine. It's now for Power Automate as well. And Reza Dorrani, the one and only, our go-to source for anything like this, of course, is made a full tutorial video on how to use this thing end to end and what you can expect. And it's pretty dense what you can do. And actually, from my perspective, I think this is way better than what we can do in terms of user interface from the portal maker experience, because this covers everything from security, management, connectivity, copying, monitoring, managing. It's everything. You can ask it questions like, show me the flows that are failing the most. Show me that can you use it as a governance tool? Which I absolutely. You remember when we saw in the release notes the way that you can see data moving through Power Automate flows, and that you can actually see the data map? That was huge. Back, for people that are just joining Power Platform, back in the day, we didn't know what flow was triggering which flows. If you had a parent-child flow, you couldn't see anywhere that was a relationship between the two, or how data flowed from one to the other. And now you have full visibility, full governance into this play on data and how these trigger each other and how data flows, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, awesome work from Reza. Thank you for always doing the heavy lifting for us so we can just consume your content and be older smarter for it. So great. And then we have a few others. So just wanted to mention Manuela, which we love from the COE team. No, that's not right. Manuela Pichler is from the CAT team, and she was one of the founders, creators. She was kind of one of the people on the backbone of the COE starter kit. So Center of Excellence starter kit, which we've talked about in a few episodes lately, how they stopped kind of maintaining it and it's now kind of deprecated as a thing. It was never a product, but that's it. And now, of course, with agentic coding and all the MCP servers and everything we have we can now govern Power Platform without using PPAC too much, which also we've talked about in a few of the last episodes. Now she came up with a resource that I wanted to share with you guys, where she published how to build an agentic center of excellence and also agentic transformation patterns. So there's a few good kind of resources in here, and the agentic transformation patterns playbook, which is great, that they also published. So we've had a few links lately around this topic already. So this is kind of just adding on to the list of resources. So if you're managing Power Platform, this is your thing. This is a great resource. So we'll have links to that.
Yeah. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, it really is. And then also, and before we move on to the other, what is it called? The other corner of the week, we do have another public announcement type of news thing. Of course, Carsten Groth keeps track of the announcements and messages from the admin center for us. And he found one message from the message center that says that on July 30th, which is today, that's when we record. Yeah, Copilot Studio unlocks a major new capability. You can now share autonomous agents directly to end users, which is with their own credentials, which is kind of huge. And it opens up, it's kind of mind blowing my mind took a minute to kind of realize what this means. because it's quite a big step in terms of what you can enable in terms of workflows and who you can reach and how that can work in the ecosystem of your company, what you're trying to do. And that's pretty cool. So yeah.
And what I like about it too is if it's going to run in the context of those end users, then assuming, and maybe I'm making a jump here, but their security will be applied. So let's say you run that agent and you get a bunch of results back, but then I run it. If it's grounded in data that we both have different access to, it still serves our purposes, but we know that the data is properly being protected, if I understand that correctly. So, I mean, that's definitely important too. But then from a deployment kind of capabilities there, it's just sort of, it's easier to manage.
Hopefully that ties into, other public facing things like the new native app. Maybe it opens up for capabilities where external users, so imagine you share your app and then one of the new native Canvas apps or Power Apps, and then you want to have an agentic, an autonomous agent connected to that. If Copilot Studio wasn't enabled to be shared with external users, then you can use that capability in that type of app. So this is kind of maybe it's a backward kind of capability type of request to afford those kinds of things, right? So same for Power Pages. You have a Copilot Studio agent on Power Pages. It's external users. You need that interaction to external users. Then this opens up for that as well. So yeah, it's a myriad of things. And then you got some publicity this week. Someone very important picked up your blog post.
Yeah. It's always it's good. It's a good feeling if I know it's Jukka approved. Because sometimes if I write something or do a blog post, like I'm almost like, someday someone's going to catch up to the fact that I don't know anything at all and I'm just making it up as I go along. And it's going to be either Jukka or Steve that's going to figure that out and call me out on it. But
imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Maybe. But
even
no, I do
have it.
I do appreciate what Jukka called out because it was sort of, I did, you guys probably saw the post or the video. It was ditch the Power Apps Maker Portal. And it is a way to generate a bit of clickbait or a bit of engagement. Let's just put it that way.
You know my feelings about clickbait. Just move on.
So, but basically it was like, and the thing is, it's for me, I am, part of it was the reason why I made that video was because I'm hearing from a lot of people, they're going, well, I'm just a maker. Visual Studio Code is a developer tool. It's, beyond my capabilities. I'll stick with the maker portal, let the developers do the development part of it. But I'm like, no, Visual Studio Code. And yeah, don't get me wrong. It's very intimidating when you first load it up if you're used to the maker portals. But at the end of the day, it's really just an editor. It's a bit of a harness for some of these agents and stuff like that. So, and as a maker, you can definitely get a lot more productivity and get the agents to do a lot of this, even if you're building traditional model-driven apps or Canvas apps, or what we just talked about, Power Automate, you can get these tools to make things a lot more efficient because you understand how this works and you can do it more. So we talked a couple times already. Sarah Lagerquist, she's making plugins now. So that's why I wanted to make sure that, hey, let's not exclude the existing makers, citizen developers, and whatever else. Start using, tools like Visual Studio Code or GitHub Copilot Desktop or, a lot of these different things. I mean, we are still early days, so there are a few little glitches and complexities. Somebody actually did follow my video and try to put it together. And he got back to me. He said he had a few little struggles along the way, but he was experimenting, he was trying. So I love that of our community, that whole experimental aspect to it. So but Jukka kind of called it out as well about how the fact that with all these tools, we can now create tool apps and agents and whatever else a lot faster doing that. So yeah, thanks Jukka for liking my post. Appreciate it.
And also, again, why use AI to create your pictures for you? Because it doesn't know how to do you. I've told you, we called out this dude that you were on the podcast. It doesn't do you, dude. When are you going to get it? It doesn't look like you at all.
What are you talking about?
Sloppy.
Are you talking about the thumbnail that I did or what Jukka did?
No, the blog post feature that you did is a slop because it doesn't look like you. And yeah, I'm not having it. It's just nope.
Okay. I did another post this week, so I'll go back to the I'll go back to the real photos and staging everything.
I tried my best to get it to remove the blue kind of thing that exactly that in your glasses. It just doesn't come. It does something wrong with your eyes. It can't do it. I've tried enough to know that it's not going to be able to do it. So just stop it already. Just keep the good old stuff. Just keep the unsplash pictures. You used to do that so well. Doesn't need your slop. All right. So let's move on. I need to go pick Herman up soon. So we need to kick this off. So also someone else who did a fun thing this week.
Yeah.
So no, but yeah. Okay. Sorry. So someone else did something fun this week. And you know what? I remember sitting next to my uncle. My uncle's in a wheelchair. And one of the things we enjoyed doing when I would stay there for weeks. My whole summer I would stay with them. And I used to sit beside him on this little wooden chair, and he would sit there and he would play Doom. And I would look around the corners, and he used to, till this day, he'll tell this story of how he was playing Doom. And I was sitting next to him looking around the corners to see if I could on the screen. And to the point it was like, can you move your head so that I can see what's on the screen? It's like, I remember this so vividly. And when I saw this post from Joe, I was like, oh my God, I haven't played Doom in so long. Just there's nothing that, well, probably there's a million things, but for me, it's one of the core childhood memories of mine. So there's nothing quite like it. I'm
gonna show my age a little bit because was maybe while you were a little child, I was in college, and of course Doom came out. Of course, we were playing it on our computer, like at that time, big desktop computers with my 30 megabyte hard drive and whatever else. But then one of the folks at school discovered a directory buried deep down where we actually had write access, like for uploading our assignments and everything like that. So he installed Doom on that shared folder. This was like a Novell network. Like this is before Windows NT and everything. He installed Doom.
I don't understand half of the words you're saying, but that sounds so amazing.
So he put it this way: he installed Doom on a little back corner of the school network that no one knew about. And so we would go into the computer labs after hours, a bunch of us, and play head-to-head Doom because this was one of the very first multiplayer games that were available. Yeah. And we would just be like, shooting each other and going and like, hey, did you shoot me from behind? And all of this other stuff. Like, because at that time, that game was so advanced, like 3D games. Like, I mean, it was preceded by like Castle Wolfenstein, but it was just one of those things. And we would get to the point where, like, I think we talked about this before with like Tetris or whatever else, like get to the point you'd be dreaming in like pixelated Doom and the demons are coming out at you. And,
Jesus. Yeah. Actually, actually, that makes a lot of sense because I do have memories of childhood kind of nightmares where I'm chased through a basement with pipes and stuff. And also, you know what? You know how how smells can take you back? So for me, the smell of Play-Doh takes me back to my room when I was a kid. The sound of changing guns in Doom, especially to the 8 key, was it 8 key G?
Yeah.
If I hear that is such a distinct sound, I bet I can play that in any movie, anytime. It's like that scream sound, right? And you play that and it's just, my mind just picks that up. It's fantastic. There's so many core memories. We could go on all. One of our first episodes was about what game would you reproduce or what would you do if
and remember because it's funny because I every so often do listen to our latest episode, make sure like we didn't say anything too stupid. But when I was driving for the camping trip, I had like, and then of course I was driving, didn't really switch the episode. And then on Spotify, it went immediately to the first episode. And I know how sometimes you complain to me about how bad our sound is. Like I said, just go back to that first episode. And then anything after that sounds so much better because it sounded like we were recording in like a closet or something, all the echoing and everything. We had no idea what we were doing.
Not that this is state of the art, let's add, because we do realize that this is not state of the art audio either. But as you remind me of this every 2 weeks, we get paid the same, so it's fine.
Yep, exactly.
But also, I mean, and also when you told me that your brother-in-law would listen to our podcasts just because you told him we had a podcast, and then he goes and listens to it, and I'm like, well, does he then start from the first or the last? I get
No,
I hope
he
it's
picked.
the last one.
Yeah. So quick little shout out to our non-techie listeners, to my
Yay!
brother-in-law Ed,
Lizzie's mom.
who noticed my tattoo and asked me what that was all about. So I told him, and then
Now you know
and then I was in the house and I heard in the background, I'm like, wait a minute, that's the jingle from our podcast. Like, that's weird. And then he's looking at it, and it's funny because he's looking at his tablet. He goes, "So 10 coffees in a Red Bull." But then
something like that.
But then another shout out to Pat McGarry Roberts, or Dr. Pat, Lizzie's mom, and she sent me a message too. She said, like, I had no idea what you guys are talking about until this part, which of course meant something different, and it was just sort of like, it was so funny because I like texted like Lizzie and I said, your mom listens to our podcast. So
I absolutely love hearing about all these people that kind of listen, even though they don't really understand what we're talking about. It's so, it's heartwarming, I must say, and a little bit embarrassing. I don't know why. It's like my family also keep talking with me about this podcast. So I was like, you don't have to, please don't listen to it. It's fine. You don't.
yeah, there's so
like,
many better podcasts out there than, for you
exactly.
folks than this one.
Mm-hmm. Spend the time listening to crime podcast or something. It's much more fulfilling for you.
Diary of a
us ranting
CEO or
alone.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so let's wrap this up.
Yes, for sure.
So the point was, Joe created a model-driven app that plays Doom, and how he does it is that he created it's a WAD file. So he that is embedded into Doom. So that's how you can play Doom. And then he has a GitHub repository where you can download the code and apply it and upload it to your own Power Platform environment, so you can actually do this yourself. And then I had to look up what a WAD file was. And I love this. It's short for where's all the data.
That makes sense. Yeah.
YAML. So, what does YAML still? It's yet another
markup language.
Yet another markup language. I love these little hidden things. It's so much fun. So great work, Joe.
And well, there goes my afternoon then.
I know. And also you can listen to Joe and Sebastian's podcast, which is them ranting on, talking about different things, which is fun.
Yeah, I think they've gone beyond 7 episodes, so it's worth listening to now.
I know, because that's what you have to do to be certified. I think if you can make it past 7, then you're gonna stay on.
Statistically,
and we're approaching 100, which is a lot of fun. We're gonna reach 100.
Countdown is on.
Christmas. Mm-hmm. Yep. A bit of singing and dancing. Are you ready? We have promised our people. So, also a little shout out to Charles Sexton for bringing us the Code App, Vibe App, and Power Platform Skills Weekly, which contains news on the new added Work IQ path for our Code Apps in the Power Apps and Power Platform Skills repo. And also, I joined a few of the latest community calls for Power Platform and Microsoft 365. And if you did not get our subtle hints from earlier episodes that the platforms are moving together, this should give you a good indication, because it's now called Copilot, Microsoft 365, and Power Platform Updates, community calls. So Copilot Studio now being part of Microsoft 365 roadmap tells you that they're kind of merging. So it's fun. So, and also if you're interested in kind of learning to speak and get out there with community work, this is a very good place to start. They're always looking for people that want to get into speaking. It's a very low threshold for anyone who's getting started, who just want kind of a small, very friendly audience to test their demo for, or whatever it is. There's going to be a link in the show notes where you can fill in your request to hold a session. And it's done I think there's one every week now, which is awesome.
Perfect. Yeah. And they're, the guy, what's his face, who runs it, even the tip of my tongue, I see him.
David Porter?
Yes. Thank you. Because David, talk about balls of energy. David gets he's like the talk show host and just gets that. There's another guy that just is on like a 20 Red Bulls, I think, at any given moment. So it's definitely entertaining.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Because I was at the beach and I thought, you know what? This is just going to make my day. And that's why I joined. And it was so much fun. He just brings it. Such a ball of energy. I love it. So it's great. We're going to see David in Vegas, I expect, which is going to be fun. All right. So this is a wrap up. Thank you guys for listening this week. And we'll see you guys in a few weeks.
Yeah. And hopefully on time next time.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. And if you like this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues in the community. Make sure to leave a rating and review of your favorite streaming service, and makes it easier for others to find us. Follow us on the social media platforms and make sure you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening to the PowerPlatform Boost podcast with your hosts, Ulrikke and Nick Dolman, and see you next time for your timely boost of PowerPlatform news.